Hey guys, so today I wanted to make a video about some of the best manhwas I've read. Top 10 basically. Top 10 best manhwas I've read. And I'm doing this video because I posted a short and that short got some nice attention. It got some likes. And I feel like a lot of people want to know which is a good manhwa to read. And because I've read so many, I can give you guys some good, really good manhwas to read. This list is going to be for action manhwas because those are the ones that I've read. Like most of the action manhwas I've read are action ones. So here we go. Number 10. Number 10 is a manhwa called Dungeon Reset. It's like an action manhwa. It's not really like Solo Leveling because these guys go in one. They teleport to another world. It starts as a tutorial. There's a host, which is a rabbit, and then the rabbit goes crazy, starts killing people, and then these people who got teleported to another world, now they have to clear these stages. These stages are called dungeons in the manhwa, but they're actually stages. So first they have to clear the tutorial stage, then the next stage, etc, etc. The main character is kind of useless, so he kind of dies, and then they leave him in the ditch and they go away. Inside the ditch, though, he doesn't die. He stays there for a long time, and the host also forgets about him. So basically he uses the things he finds inside the ditch to his advantage, and then he creates golems, he sculpts things, etc, etc. It's an interesting manhwa. It's an interesting take on the isekai genre, and it's good. It's an interesting read for sure, so check it out. Kill the Hero is the 9th manhwa. Now, Kill the Hero is a very interesting manhwa. It's kind of similar to Solo Leveling, but not really. So, now the reason I keep bringing Solo Leveling is because you guys know Solo Leveling is the reason manhwas are so popular. And if someone denies it, then well, you're wrong. Before Solo Leveling, reading manhwas wasn't a thing. But because of Solo Leveling's popularity, it has become a huge thing now. So, Kill the Hero, it's not really like Solo Leveling, just the world is like Solo Leveling. So the main character of Kill the Hero, he basically goes back in time. How the manhwa starts is that he gets betrayed by his guild members and then he dies. They kill him. Then he goes back in time to take revenge on those guild members. The reason they kill him is because they said that they don't really want to end this dungeon stuff. They want to keep the world in this chaos way because they are the rulers of this world. Once the dungeons stop, they lose all their power. Hence they send him, like all the leveling system will stop. Hence they send him back. Not back, hence they kill him. So then after dying though, he somehow goes back in time, and now he relives his life. So he knows everything which has happened, and he wants to take revenge on those guild members. He wants to kill them. So this is like a revenge story, but it's very interesting. It's not like a copy of Solo Leveling because it has its own story. It has its own characters, and it's not just action, overpowered action. The main guy is powerful, yes, but it's a nice political. Also, there's a little bit of politics too. It's an interesting manhwa for sure, and the action scenes and all are really cool. So check it out. Number 8 is a manhwa called Trash of the Count's Family. Now this manhwa I read some time ago. It's an action manhwa, but not really at the same time. It's about a guy who teleports into another world, but this world he has teleported into, he has read a book before in his previous life, and that book is basically the world in which he teleports into. And in the book there's a very useless side character who's very lazy, and not lazy, but he's kind of useless. So he gets teleported, he gets isekai'd into that side character's body. Now once he gets isekai into that character's body, he's like, damn, because first of all, the side character is useless. I guess that character was supposed to either die or just a useless side character who does nothing in the story. So he gets teleported into that character's body, and now what he wants to do is he wants to live this new life, but he doesn't want to die. And second thing, he wants to live in the most lazy way possible because he's very lazy. The main character is very lazy. So he does all these things. He has read the book completely. If not completely, then I guess he has read halfway of the book. So he knows halfway the story of this world, this isekai world. So now he tries to get those items or those things which will let him live a very comfortable life. But because of this, a lot of interesting thing happens in the story. Now remember, he's not the main character. He's the side. He's in the body of a side character. So there is a main character of the book, and that main character and then this guy, they talk and all. It's kind of like Omniscient Reader, but he gets teleported in another world. It's an interesting manhwa, and the animation is different. It's very different than Solo Leveling and the manhwas I just mentioned. So check it out. Number 7 is Second Life Ranker. Second Life Ranker is about a guy whose brother dies. This brother was someone who got isekai into another world, and then he died in that world. How did he die? Some people killed him. I don't know why they killed him, but the brother, when he finds out, he wants to take revenge on those people. So he also goes to another world. Now it's a story of someone who goes from zero to very powerful, and it's a revenge story. But see, these all manhwas, they're kind of similar, not really, but they're interesting. That's the point. They're interesting to read, and they will keep you hooked. So that's the story of Second Life Ranker. It has interesting characters. There's nice girls. I mean, I don't mean girls. I mean like nice characters in general. So the next manhwa is number 6, which is the survival story of a SWAT king in a fantasy world. Now this manhwa is actually really good. This is a very good manhwa. Actually, I should have ranked it higher on my list, but I've already written the list, so I don't want to change it. This manhwa deserves a read for sure. It seems simple at start. Between it also gets a little bit boring, but the end, the first few chapters, and then it's a little bit boring in the between, but then right after it gets super interesting again. One of the best manhwas, and the animation of this manhwa is amazing. So it's about a guy who basically also isekai to another world. Now all the people who get isekai to another world, there's a tutorial level. So till level 5 they have to be alone in that tutorial area, and then once they reach level 5 they go to the proper world. This guy though, his level up system is glitched. So whenever he goes to level 5, he can't go further. He just like goes back to level 1 again, but the experience points are adding up. Okay, so he just keeps, so he's like, what the hell, and what am I supposed to do now? If you are level 5, you fight with someone who's level 5. If you're level 1, you fight with someone who's level 1. That's the tutorial world. So even though he's not able to go past level 5, his experience points are still rising. His stats are still rising. He spends 10 years in this tutorial world, and God knows what his level is now, what his true level is now. But he is like, in his thing, he's still like level 1, because every time he reaches level 5, it glitches, goes back to level 1. Now suddenly, one day he goes to level from 4 to 5, and then he does end up going 5, and then he goes to the other world. Now he thinks he's very weak because he's just level 5, but in reality he's actually very strong. He's kind of like One Punch Man. Like he's like extremely strong and brute, but because he's level 5, he can't use magic or anything. He just has brute strength. It's an interesting manhwa for sure. The world is cool, the story is cool, and remember, generally these manhwas, the main character is the strongest, but that's not the case in this manhwa. Even though he's very strong, there are still stronger people than him in this world, and it's an interesting. The interesting characters, the storylines are interesting. It's a nice story. It also kind of reminds me of this anime I watched. Can't recall, but I'll edit in the video if I remember it. But it's a good manhwa, for sure. Read it. The animation of the manhwa is amazing. Now, number 5, Returners Magic Should Be Special. Now this is a completely different kind of manhwa. It's nothing like Soul Leveling or like a typical isekai manhwa. This manhwa is that it's an own world. This world basically is going to an apocalypse. Now the main character dies because of he just dies. A big thing happened. Like him and 5 more people are the only people left in the world, and then they're fighting this boss. They defeat this boss. After defeating the boss self-destructs or something, and then they die. But the main character, he goes back in time, like I guess 10-15 years ago before, and he goes back in his old body. He's like, what happened? And then but he knows what's gonna happen in the future. So now he tries to live this for life, try to stop that apocalypse. It's a nice manhwa. It's a magic. The world has magic. And the main character again is technically he's not overpowered, but he has this way of disabling the spells which he does. It's a nice manhwa. You can check it out. Magic, nice story, nice characters, interesting, all action manhwa. Now number 4 is Omniscient Raider. I know a lot of you guys know about this manhwa probably. It's also a good manhwa. It's about, so there's this guy who's not trained, he's reading this book. He's been reading this book since 10-15 years, and suddenly the world he is in starts becoming like that book he's been reading since like 10-15 years, and he's the only one who has been reading this book. So he knows what's the story of this world that he's in, right? So again, it's kind of sounds similar to Trash of the Council only, but it's not, because in Trash of the Council isekai, this is not isekai. Now the world, the book he's reading, in that book the world basically becomes like a game, and then it's kind of like dystopian society kind of becomes like kind of apocalyptic. But the book he's been reading, so even that book has a different main character. So our protagonist is not the main character of the story, it's someone else. And he's not powerful either, but he somehow makes his way to become really powerful. And it's a very interesting story. A lot of interesting things happen. They go in past and etc, like history stuff. They use skills. Now yes, read the manhwa. It is very popular. It's definitely worth the read because it's different and it keeps you interested. The animation again is amazing. So yeah, check it out. Now number 3. As you all know, this is the reason manhwas even are so popular today. Number 3 is Solo Leveling. Now I don't need to say a lot about it because I guess everyone knows about it. And if you haven't read Solo Leveling yet and you are into manhwas, then what are you doing? Just go read it. Solo Leveling proves that if the direction and if the way the story has been told is a very good way and the direction is amazing, then even a simple story can be really interesting and keep you hooked. That's what Solo Leveling is. It's actually a simple story. It's not really complicated. It's about a guy who's a loser, who's not a loser, but like he's very weak, goes in a dungeon, survives, and then suddenly gains the superpower and becomes extremely overpowered slowly, and the fights are interesting. It keeps you hooked. It's extremely thriller. That's the story. But the way it's been said, you cannot stop reading it. You just keep clicking on the next chapter because it's so interesting. So if you haven't read Solo Leveling yet, just do, because this is the reason people make manhwas videos because of Solo Leveling. So if you haven't read it, just go read it. Number 2. Now I'm pretty sure you guys are excited because if I'm number 3rd, my number 3 is Solo Leveling. What are first and second? Well, they definitely deserve the spot, at least in my opinion. Number 2, The Legend of the Northern Blade. Now this manhwa, when I read it, the first few chapters I thought, oh, is it that good really? Like it's not popular, by the way. At least when I read it, it wasn't popular. I just saw it somewhere and I started reading it. But damn, it's one of the most badass stories, one of the most interesting manhwas I've read. And just like Solo Leveling, it's not really a complicated story. It's simple, but the way they have directed it and the way they have foretold the story, amazing. The character, the main character of the story, is probably one of the most badass characters in fantasy, in fiction ever. He's just so freaking cool, and it's not like overpowered bullshit, because this character he trains for like 7 years alone, and then so he starts as, again, he starts out as like really weak, but then they show a training period, and then dude, it's just awesome, you know. It's just he's just so badass. Every comment in the manhwa's new chapters, like everyone is just saying, oh, the character is so badass, so bad. And the action in the manhwa and the animation, damn, it's just so good. It's so good. If they made an anime of Solo Leveling or The Legend of the Northern Blade in a proper way, if like Mappa made it or something, I'm sure these will be like as popular as Jujutsu Kaisen or something. So Legend of the Northern Blade, just go read it, especially if you're into action, and just read it. Don't leave it. Don't drop it at like after reading 5 chapters. Just read it properly. After the training period, it gets extremely interesting. So at least read it till that training period, which is not a lot. I guess in 15 chapters the training period happens. So just go read it. Now, number 1, Number one is the manhwa, which definitely deserves the spot of being number one. It's if I had to compare it with another story, it would be Hunter x Hunter, because it's kind of about a guy of the same age and the world is interesting. Number one is The Beginning After the End. In The Beginning After the End, the kid, the main character, is a king in his previous life, and then he gets reincarnated into a baby's body, and he's just super smart, especially because he has all his adult memories and his wisdom from his previous life, and even the way to uh, like he remembers all the fighting ways and everything. Now, why I like it so much and why it's number one: the characters, they are very good. You can feel for them, you get attached to them, the way they have set up the characters. The story and the world is amazing. It looks very crafted, just like Hunter x Hunter, like how the world is crafted. Even in this, the world looks very crafted. The system they have, the magic system, is also very interesting, and it has a lot of badass moments, by the way. The main character, Arthur, he's a smart and collected person, and you can feel for him. You can also support him as a character because a very nice main protagonist. So definitely one of the best manhwas ever, The Beginning After the End. Now, some people say it's a copy of this anime called Mushoku Tensei, but it's not. If you think it's a copy of Mushoku Tensei, then Dragon Ball Z's copy of Superman. That's the similarities. Only the first 5 chapters are same, and only the reincarnation as a baby part is same. That's all. Apart from that, it's a completely different story. And I have seen the Mushoku Tensei anime, by the way, both parts. I've also read the comics, so I am a good person to tell if it's a copy or not. It's not a copy at all. It's a completely different story. Like I said, if you think it's a copy, then basically you're saying Dragon Ball Z is the copy of Superman. Obviously it's not, but that's the similarities. All right, so this was my list. Now, if you guys want to like the video, like, subscribe, share, follow. Also, if you like the list and if you want me to make more videos on manhwas or anime or manga, because I basically consume entertainment, or movies or shows, anything, type in the comments that you would want to watch a show similar to this anime, or if you would want to watch a movie similar to this anime, or even books. Actually, I basically view a lot of entertainment media in general, and I have a lot of good idea about it, so I can make those videos. Again, if you want a video for manhwas which is not action manhwa, say in the comments, I'll make that video too. Alright guys, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Just subscribe.